Hey everyone, hope you're doing great. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we'll dive into what if Naruto embraced the darkness meant to kill him. Smash that subscribe button, and be sure to peek at the description below. Let's begin. The forest of Konoha was not a place of peace at night. It was a living, breathing entity of shadows and rustling leaves. A chaotic architecture of ancient wood that seemed to close in on those foolish enough to trespass after hours. Naruto Uzumaki moved through the canopy, his orange jumpsuit a glaring contradiction to the stealth required of a ninja, yet he moved with a desperate, frantic speed. On his back was the scroll of seals. It was heavy, heavier than he had anticipated, pressing down on his spine like a physical manifestation of the expectations he had never managed to meet. His breath came in ragged gasps, misting in the cool night air. Sweat plastered his bangs to his forehead, stinging his eyes. I did it, he thought, a manic grin stretching his whiskered cheeks, though his eyes darted nervously into the darkness behind him. I actually stole it. Mizuki-sensei wasn't lying. If I learn a jutsu from this, Iruka-sensei will have to pass me. He'll have to. He landed clumsily on a thick branch, stumbling before regaining his balance. He scrambled to the base of a massive oak, checking over his shoulder. The village was a collection of distant lights, warm and inviting, yet utterly closed off to him. It always had been. But tonight was different. Tonight, he held the key to the lock. He slumped against the bark, unbuckling the massive scroll. It unrolled with a heavy thud, the parchment thick and smelling of old ink and dry preservation spells. Okay, Naruto whispered, his voice trembling slightly. Let's see. First jutsu. His finger traced the intricate kanji. Multi-shadow clone jutsu. Naruto groaned, throwing his head back against the tree. Are you kidding me? Clones? That's my worst technique. Why does destiny hate me so much? He stared at the scroll. The diagram wasn't like the standard academy clone. The chakra flow was different. It didn't ask for an illusion, it asked for a division of spirit. It required splitting one's chakra evenly, creating a solid, tangible copy. A second self. A second me, Naruto thought, his frustration cooling into a strange, somber realization. If I master this, I won't have to be alone in the apartment anymore. The thought was unexpected, piercing through his bravado. He shook it off. This wasn't about loneliness. It was about becoming Hokage. It was about making them see him. He clasped his hands together in the seal of the ram. He closed his eyes. He reached into the pit of his stomach, searching for the chakra that always felt slippery and volatile. Usually, he tried to force it, to mold it into the delicate shape of a mirage. But the scrolls said to let it flood. Don't shape the air, the text seemed to whisper. Shape the self. Shadow clone jutsu. A puff of smoke. A dull thud. Naruto opened his eyes. Sitting next to him was a perfect copy. It looked at him, blinked, and then grinned. It wasn't a translucent, wobbling mess. It was solid. It was real. I did it, Naruto breathed. We did it, the clone said. For the next hour, Naruto practiced. He didn't stop at 1. He pushed for 2, then 10. The forest clearing became a carnival of orange. But as he practiced, a strange sensation began to creep up his spine. It wasn't the exhaustion, though that was heavy. It was the feeling of being watched. And more than that, it was the feeling of the chakra itself. Every time he drew deeply from his reserves to make a dozen clones, he felt a brushing sensation in the back of his mind, like something vast and sleeping was shifting in its slumber beneath the floorboards of his soul. Found you! The shout shattered the concentration. The clones popped into smoke instantly, vanishing as Naruto jumped, startled. Iruka Umino landed in the clearing. He was breathing hard, his chunin vest scraped from branches, a kunai gripped tightly in his hand. His face was a mask of anger and relief. Iruka-sensei, Naruto stammered, scratching the back of his head, putting on his best innocent smile. I didn't think you'd find me this fast. I've only had time to learn one jutsu. Iruka stared at him, his chest heaving. Naruto, do you have any idea what you've done? Yeah. Naruto beamed, holding up the scroll. I'm graduating. Mizuki-sensei said if I showed you this scroll and learned a technique, I'd become a genin for sure. And look, I learned the shadow clone. It's way harder than the regular one, but I got it. The anger drained from Irika's face, replaced by a cold confusion. Mizuki? Yeah. He told me about the secret test. He said, Naruto, get down! Irika's scream was raw. He lunged forward, not at Naruto, but over him. Thunk. 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 Naruto fell back, his eyes widening. A barrage of kunai had slammed into Irika's back. The Chunin grunted, blood spraying from his mouth as he shielded Naruto with his own body. They tumbled together into the dirt. Sensei! Naruto shrieked. Irika gritted his teeth, pulling a kunai from his leg with a sickening squelch. I'm fine. Naruto, listen to me. Don't let go of that scroll. High above them, perched on the branch of a pine tree, stood Mizuki. The moonlight caught the giant shuriken strapped to his back, casting a long, jagged shadow over the clearing. His face, usually smiling and kind, was twisted into a sneer of utter contempt. Nice work, Irika, Mizuki called down, his voice dripping with mock praise. I didn't think you'd find the idiot so quickly. Naruto, Irika wheezed, standing shakily to put himself between the boy and the traitor. Don't give him the scroll. That scroll contains forbidden jutsu that could destroy the village. Mizuki used you to get it for himself. Naruto's mind reeled. Used me? But, he was the only one who listened. He was the only one who didn't look at me with those cold eyes. Naruto, Mizuki said, his voice silky. Don't be stupid. Give me the scroll. Irika is just trying to scare you because he doesn't want you to have the scroll. Stop lying, Mizuki! Irika shouted, reaching into his pouch. Oh, I'm not the one lying, am I? Mizuki laughed. It was a dry, hollow sound. Go on, Naruto. Ask him. Ask your precious sensei why the village hates you. Ask him why you've never known your parents. Ask him why everyone looks at you like you're a disease. Naruto froze. The wind seemed to stop. The sounds of the forest died away. Stop it! Irika roared. It's a law, Mizuki continued, his eyes gleaming with malicious delight. A decree by the third Hokage. No one is allowed to talk about it. But I think you deserve to know, don't you, Naruto? What is he talking about? Naruto whispered. His heart was hammering against his ribs like a trapped bird. 12 years ago, Mizuki said, savoring every word, the nine-tailed fox attacked this village. It slaughtered hundreds. It crushed our ninja like insects. Naruto took a step back. He knew the story. Everyone knew the story. The fourth Hokage killed the demon. The fourth didn't kill the demon, Naruto, Mizuki hissed. Demons like that don't die. He sealed it. Mizuki pointed a finger directly at Naruto's heart. He sealed it inside a human baby. He sealed it inside you. The world tilted. Me? The silence of the village. The whispers that stopped when he entered a room. The way the shopkeepers threw him out. The masks of the Umbu watching him. The cold, hard eyes of the adults. The fear in the children's eyes when their parents pulled them away. Get away from him. It's the demon brat. Why is he still allowed to live? Monster. It wasn't because he was loud. It wasn't because he was a prankster. It wasn't because he was bad at ninjutsu. You are the nine-tailed fox. Mizuki screamed. You are the monster that killed Irika's parents. You are the thing that destroyed our village. Naruto fell to his knees. The scroll rolled away from his limp fingers. It made sense. It made too much terrible, agonizing sense. The hatred wasn't irrational. It wasn't a misunderstanding he could fix with a prank or a smile. They hated him because he was their nightmare. No. Naruto whispered. Die, Naruto! Mizuki unhooked the giant shuriken from his back and spun it. The steel sang a song of death as it flew through the air. Naruto didn't move. He couldn't. He was paralyzed by the weight of the truth. If I'm the monster, maybe I deserve this. No! Irika threw himself over Naruto again. The sound of the impact was wet and heavy. The giant shuriken slammed into Irika's back, burying itself deep in his spine. Blood, hot and metallic, splattered across Naruto's face. Irika collapsed, his weight crushing Naruto into the dirt. Sensei? Naruto's voice was small. Iruka coughed, blood dribbling down his chin onto Naruto's cheek. His eyes were hazy, drifting out of focus. Naruto, run. Why? Naruto choked out, tears mixing with the blood on his face. Why did you save me? I'm the fox. I killed your parents. Iruka smiled weakly. Tears streamed down his own face. Because, we're the same. I was alone too. I acted out, to get attention. His voice was fading. His grip on Naruto's shoulder slackened. Iruka-sensei. Naruto screamed, but Iruka didn't answer. His head lolled forward, resting against Naruto's chest. He was unconscious. Or worse, how touching, Mizuki sneered from the tree branch. He pulled a second shuriken. He died for a demon. What a waste. But don't worry, Naruto. You'll join him in a second. Naruto stared at the unmoving form of his teacher. He felt the warmth of Iruka's blood soaking into his jumpsuit. Something inside Naruto snapped, but it wasn't the snap of a twig. It was the snap of a heavy chain holding back a tidal wave. He didn't scream. He didn't run. He just sat there, under the weight of the only person who had ever acknowledged him, and he closed his eyes. He sank, deep into his own mind. The sewer. The water was ankle-deep and smelled of rust and rot. Pipes lined the walls, dripping stagnant fluid into the darkness. It was a labyrinth of despair. Naruto stood in the corridor. He had been here in his dreams before, but he always ran from it. Tonight he walked forward. He followed the malice. It was a tangible heat, a red fog that guided him through the maze until he reached the great gate. The golden seal fluttered in the unseen wind. Behind the bars, 2 eyes the size of carriage wheels opened. They were vertical slits of crimson fire. So, the voice boomed, shaking the very water Naruto stood in. The jailer finally comes to pay his respects. Naruto looked up at the massive fox. He should have been terrified. A 12-year-old boy standing before a calamity of nature. But Naruto felt numb. You're the Ninetales, Naruto said flatly. I am Kurama, the fox snarled, baring teeth the size of claymores. But to your kind, I am merely the demon. The Kyuubi. The fox leaned closer to the bars, its malice washing over Naruto like a physical wave. Are you here to beg for power? To cry about your unfair life? I saw what happened outside. The man with the scar told you the truth. They hate you because of me. They hate me, Naruto repeated. Because I hold you. Yes. And they will never stop, the fox hissed. You can become Hokage. You can save their kittens. You can die for them. And at your funeral, they will spit on your grave and cheer that the monster is finally gone. That is the nature of humans, brat. They fear what they cannot control. Naruto looked down at his reflection in the dirty water. He saw Iruka's blood on his face. Iruka saved me, Naruto said softly. One man, the fox scoffed. And look where it got him. A shuriken in the spine. Kindness is a weakness, Naruto. Mercy is a lie told by the strong to keep the weak in line. Naruto clenched his fists. The will of fire the old man Hokage spoke about, it felt distant now. Warm and fuzzy, but useless against cold steel. Iruka had the will of fire, and now Iruka was bleeding out in the dirt. Mizuki had intent to kill. Mizuki had power. Mizuki was winning. If I die, Naruto whispered, you die too, right? The fox narrowed its eyes. For a time. I would reform eventually. But it would be unpleasant. Then help me. Help you? The fox laughed, a sound like grinding tectonic plates. You want my chakra? The price is high, boy. My chakra is hatred. To wield it, you must accept that hatred. You must stop lying to yourself that you love that village. Admit it. You hate them. You hate them for the cold looks. You hate them for the hunger. You hate them for making you an orphan. Naruto closed his eyes. He tried to summon the image of the ramen shop, the few smiles he'd seen. But they were overwhelmed by images of closed doors, of whispers, of the empty swing set. He felt a burning in his chest. It wasn't fire. It was ice-cold rage. They wanted a monster, Naruto said, opening his eyes. They were no longer blue. They were bleeding into a pharaoh red. Mizuki wants to kill a demon? Naruto stepped toward the bars. He didn't reach for the seal. He reached through the bars, his small hand extending into the darkness. Then I'll show him what a demon looks like. The fox grinned, a horrific expression of teeth and malice. Good answer. A massive claw extended, touching Naruto's hand. Red chakra exploded. The clearing. Mizuki laughed as he prepared the second shuriken. Naruto had gone still. The boy was probably in shock, his mind broken by the revelation. It was almost too easy. Goodbye, demon fox, Mizuki sneered, reeling his arm back. Whoosh! A shockwave of air blasted outward from Naruto's position. Leaves were stripped from the trees. Dust kicked up in a violent vortex. Mizuki faltered, shielding his eyes. What the? The dust settled slowly. Naruto was standing. Iruka's body had been gently moved to the side, resting against the roots of the tree. Naruto stood in the center of the clearing, his back to Mizuki. The air around the boy was heavy. It was thick, suffocating, and smelled of burning ozone and rust. Visible wisps of red chakra curled off his shoulders like steam. Standing up? Mizuki scoffed, though a bead of sweat rolled down his temple. It won't change anything. You're just a kid. Naruto turned around. Mizuki flinched. The boy's face was feral. The whisker marks on his cheeks had thickened, jagged and dark. His teeth seemed sharper, but it was the eyes, vertical slits in a sea of blood red, that froze the blood in Mizuki's veins. You said? Naruto's voice was different. It was layered, a boy's voice engaging a harmonic resonance with something deep and guttural. You said I am the Nine Tails? Naruto tilted his head, a jerky, unnatural motion. Thank you? Mizuki took a step back on the branch. What? Foretelling me, Naruto said. He crouched, his fingers digging into the earth like claws. Now I know why I have to kill you. Don't get cocky, brat! Mizuki yelled, throwing the second giant shuriken. Naruto didn't dodge. He didn't weave signs for a replacement jutsu. He caught it. With one hand, reinforced by a shroud of bubbling red chakra, Naruto caught the spinning blade by the central ring. The metal screeched, sparks flying as the momentum fought against his grip. The force cracked the ground beneath his feet, but Naruto didn't budge. Impossible, Mizuki breathed. Naruto looked at the shuriken, then back at Mizuki. Here. You can have it back. He didn't throw it. He spun his body and hurled it with inhuman force. The shuriken vanished into a blur. Mizuki yelped, diving off the branch just as the weapon shore through the massive tree trunk like it was paper. The entire top half of the tree collapsed with a thunderous crash. Mizuki landed on the ground, rolling to his feet. He was panting now. This wasn't right. The kid was the dead last. He was a failure. Shadow clone jutsu, Naruto whispered. This time, there was no smoke. Shadows seemed to peel themselves off the forest floor. They rose up, forming shapes. 1, 2, 10, 50, 100. The clearing was flooded with Narutos. But they weren't the goofy, loud clones Mizuki was used to seeing. Every single one of them had red eyes. Every single one of them was silent. They stood perfectly still, hunched forward, ready to pounce. What is this? Mizuki screamed, pulling a kunai. Quantity won't beat quality. I'm a Chunin. A Chunin, the original Naruto said, stepping out from the crowd. A teacher. You were supposed to teach us. But you just wanted to use us. The clones began to move. They didn't charge in a wave. They moved like a pack of wolves coordinating a takedown. They flowed around the trees, cutting off Mizuki's escape routes. Stay back! Mizuki slashed at the nearest clone. The clone ducked under the blade with terrifying speed and punched Mizuki in the ribs. Crack! Mizuki gasped, the air leaving his lungs. That wasn't a child's punch. That was a sledgehammer. Before he could recover, 3 more clones were on him. One kicked the back of his knee, forcing him down. Another swept his legs. Mizuki hit the dirt. He tried to scramble up, but a hand grabbed his hair and slammed his face back into the ground. You talked about the fox, a clone whispered in his ear. You talked about the monster, another whispered from his left. Let me go! Mizuki screamed, thrashing. He managed to dispel 2 clones with a burst of chakra, but 5 more took their place. The original Naruto walked slowly toward the pile. The red chakra was dancing around him, forming the vague outline of tails. "You know," Naruto said, his voice devoid of emotion, "Iruka-sensei said we were the same. But he was wrong. Iruka is light. He shines." Naruto stopped inches from Mizuki's face. Mizuki was pinned by a dozen hands, his limbs twisted at painful angles. He looked up into the red eyes and saw his own death. "And you?" Mizuki whimpered. "Me?" Naruto smiled. It was a cold, jagged thing. "I'm the shadow that eats the light." Naruto raised his fist. The chakra concentrated there, dense and swirling. "Please!" Mizuki begged. "Naruto! I was just following orders." Liar," Naruto said. He brought his fist down. The impact shook the clearing. Dirt and blood sprayed upward. Naruto didn't stop. He hit him again. And again. And again. He wasn't using a technique. He wasn't using a style. He was using brutality. He was venting 12 years of isolation, 12 years of hunger, 12 years of wondering why. With every punch, a memory flashed. The mask of the shopkeeper. Punch. The cold swing set. Punch. The empty apartment. Punch. The word demon painted on his door. Punch. The QB roared in his mind, urging him on. Yes. Destroy him. Break him. Make him fear you. Mizuki had stopped screaming. He was just a ruin of a man now, unconscious, his face a swollen mask of purple and red. Naruto's fist hovered for one final strike, aimed directly at the throat. A killing blow. "Naruto." The voice was weak, barely a whisper. Naruto froze. His fist trembled. The red chakra flared, demanding blood. "Finish it," the fox hissed. "He is prey." "Naruto." Naruto turned his head slowly. Iruka was awake. He was propped up on one elbow, his face pale as death, blood coating his chest. He was looking at Naruto not with fear, but with heartbreak. "That's enough," Iruka whispered. "He's beaten." Naruto looked at his own hand. It was covered in Mizuki's blood. He looked at the clones holding the broken Chunin down. They all looked back at him, waiting for the order. "If I kill him, I prove them right," Naruto thought. "If I kill him, I am the monster, but if I let him live, I am in control." Naruto took a deep breath. The red slit pupils dilated, rounding out, returning to a deep, oceanic blue. The oppressive heat of the chakra faded, dissipating into the night air. The clones poofed into smoke, one by one. Naruto stood over Mizuki. The man was breathing shallowly. Alive. But broken. He would never hold a kunai again. His mind, shattered by the killing intent Naruto had projected, would likely never recover. Naruto turned and walked to Iruka. "Sensei," Naruto said. His voice was tired. He sounded older. "Naruto," Iruka wheezed, reaching out a hand. "Come here." Naruto hesitated. He felt dirty. He felt dangerous. I used the fox's power, Sensei." Mizuki was right. You are Naruto Uzumaki," Iruka said firmly, though blood bubbled at his lips. He grabbed Naruto's hand and pulled him close. "You are a citizen of Konoha. And you are my student." Naruto stiffened. He wanted to cry. He wanted to sob and let Iruka comfort him. But the tears didn't come. The heat in his belly, the darkness he had touched, it had dried them up. He realized then that he couldn't go back to being the loud, oblivious prankster. That boy had died the moment Mizuki told him the truth. "I called for help," Iruka whispered, his eyes closing. "Umbu are coming. We're safe." "Yeah," Naruto said softly, looking at the carnage he had caused. "We're safe." He sat down on the scroll of seals. He crossed his legs, resting his chin on his hand. He watched the unconscious Mizuki. He watched the perimeter. When the third Hokage arrived 5 minutes later, accompanied by 2 Umbu, he found a scene of devastation. The clearing was torn apart. Trees were shattered. Mizuki was a bloody heap. Iruka was unconscious, critical but stable. And in the center of it all sat Naruto. The boy was covered in blood that wasn't his. He was calm. unnaturally calm. As the third Hokage landed, Naruto looked up. Hiruzen Sarutobi, the professor, the god of shinobi, felt a chill run down his spine. He expected to see a traumatized child. He expected tears. Instead, Naruto looked at him with eyes that were cold, calculating, and far too old for his face. "Old man," Naruto said, his voice steady. "I captured the traitor. And I learned the jutsu." Hiruzen looked at Mizuki's broken form, then back to Naruto. He saw the shift. The will of fire was there, perhaps, but it was burning low, overshadowed by a long, dark shadow. "So you did, Naruto," Hiruzen said slowly. "So you did." Naruto stood up, hoisting the heavy scroll onto his back with ease that shouldn't have been possible for a tired academy student. "I passed, right?" Naruto asked. It wasn't a plea. It was a demand. Hiruzen nodded gravely. "Yes. You pass." Naruto didn't cheer. He didn't jump. He just nodded, a sharp, efficient motion. "Good. Then I have training to do." As the medics rushed to Irika, Naruto turned to walk back toward the village. The moonlight caught his profile, and for a split second, Hiruzen didn't see a boy. He saw the silhouette of the Minato Namikes, and the shadow of the nine-tailed fox, perfectly overlapped. Naruto walked into the darkness of the trees, the whispers of the village no longer a source of pain, but a map of his enemies. He wasn't the victim anymore, he was the jailer. And the world was going to learn to respect the cage. The hospital room was white. It was an aggressive, blinding white that smelled of antiseptic and false cleanliness. To Naruto Uzumaki, it smelled like a lie. He lay in the bed, staring up at the tiled ceiling. The hum of the fluorescent lights was a constant, insect-like drone. Outside the window, the village of Konoha was waking up. He could hear the distant murmur of the morning market, the clatter of carts, the laughter of children. Yesterday, that sound would have made him jump out of bed. He would have thrown on his clothes, rushed out the window, and tried to force himself into that world, screaming for attention, pulling pranks, desperate for someone, anyone, to look at him and see Naruto. Today, he didn't move. He traced the bandages wrapped around his knuckles. The skin beneath was raw, split open from the force with which he had struck Mizuki. He remembered the feeling of the Chunin's jaw shattering under his fist. It hadn't felt good, exactly. It hadn't been a rush of adrenaline-fueled joy. It had felt correct. Like a key turning in a lock. The door slid open with a soft hiss. The third Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi, walked in. He wore his traditional robes, his hat held in his hands. He looked old. Older than Naruto had ever noticed before. The lines on his face were deep canyons of worry, and his eyes, usually twinkling with a grandfatherly warmth, were dim and guarded. "Naruto," the Hokage said softly. "You're awake." Naruto sat up slowly. He didn't grin. He didn't scratch the back of his head. He didn't yell, "Old man. Did you see me beat that guy?" "Lord Hokage," Naruto said. His voice was raspier than usual, stripped of its eager cadence. Hiruzen paused, his grip tightening slightly on his hat. The lack of the nickname hung in the air like a heavy curtain. "How are you feeling?" "The medics said you didn't sustain any serious injuries, just exhaustion and some bruising." "I'm fine," Naruto said. He looked at his hands. "How is Irika-sensei?" "He is stable," Hiruzen assured him, walking to the bedside chair and sitting down with a heavy sigh. The shuriken missed his spine by a fraction of an inch. "He lost a lot of blood, but he will recover. He's asking to see you when he wakes up fully." "That's good," Naruto said flatly. Hiruzen studied the boy. He had seen many shinobi after their first kill, or their first brush with true, unmasked violence. Some cried. Some went silent. Some tried to joke it away. But Naruto sat with a stillness that belonged to a veteran Umbu, not a 12-year-old boy. "Naruto," Hiruzen began, his voice taking on a serious tone. "We need to talk about what happened in the forest. About what Mizuki told you." Naruto looked up. His blue eyes were clear, unblinking. "You mean about the fox?" Hiruzen flinched internally. He had hoped, foolishly, that perhaps the trauma had blurred the memory. "Yes. The nine-tailed fox. He said it's inside me," Naruto said. He didn't ask it as a question. He said, I am the scroll that contains it. You are the Jinchuriki, Hiruzen confirmed, his heart heavy. The host. But Naruto, you must understand. You are not the fox. You are Naruto Uzumaki. You are the vessel, not the beast. Naruto listened to the words. He dissected them. Vessel. Container. Jailer. Why didn't you tell me? Naruto asked. There was no accusation in his tone, only a cold curiosity. Why did you let me run around wondering why they hated me? Why did you let me think I was just unlovable? I wanted to give you a normal childhood, Hiruzen said, pain evident in his voice. I wanted you to be seen as a hero who keeps the fox at bay. That was the fourth Hokage's dying wish. A hero, Naruto repeated, testing the word. A bitter smile touched his lips, gone as quickly as it appeared. It didn't work. No, Hiruzen whispered. It did not. And for that I am sorry. Naruto looked out the window again. He saw an Umbu operative perched on the roof of the opposite building. Watching. Always watching. It's okay, Naruto lied. It was the first calculated lie of his new life. He needed the Hokage to stop looking at him with pity. Pity was a leash. He needed room to breathe. I understand, Lord Hokage. You were trying to protect me. Hiruzen let out a breath he seemed to have been holding for 12 years. You have a big heart, Naruto. The will of fire burns brightly in you. Naruto didn't answer. He just nodded. The will of fire. It was a pretty story. But fire burned. Fire consumed. And right now, Naruto felt cold. You passed the exam, Hiruzen said, placing a forehead protector on the bedside table. The metal plate gleamed under the harsh lights. The leaf symbol was etched deeply into the steel. Irika insisted. And honestly, after defeating a Chunin, you have earned it. Naruto reached out and took the headband. It felt heavy. It was cool to the touch. Thank you, Naruto said. Get some rest, Hiruzen said, standing up. You'll be discharged this afternoon. Team assignments are in 3 days. I will. The Hokage left. Naruto waited until his footsteps faded down the hallway. He swung his legs out of bed. He walked to the bathroom attached to his room and looked in the mirror. The boy staring back looked the same, yet entirely different. The whiskered cheeks were there. The spiky blonde hair was there. But the eyes had lost their shine. They were like the surface of a deep ocean, calm, but hiding leviathans beneath. A vessel, Naruto whispered to his reflection. He tied the headband around his forehead. He tightened it until it dug into his skin, a physical reminder of the weight he now carried. Fine, he said to the empty room. If I'm a vessel, I'm going to be the strongest one that ever existed. The apartment was exactly as he had left it, which was to say, it was a disaster zone. Naruto unlocked the door and stepped inside. The smell hit him first: cup noodles, stale milk, and dust. Piles of dirty laundry littered the floor. Empty ramen cups were stacked in pyramids on the counter. The walls were covered in crayon drawings and notes he had written to himself, reminders of training schedules he never stuck to, or pranks he planned to pull. It was the nest of a child who was desperately trying to fill the empty space with noise. Naruto closed the door and locked it. He slid the deadbolt home. He checked the window to ensure the blinds were drawn. He stood in the center of the room and simply breathed. Garbage, he muttered. He moved with a sudden, frantic energy. He grabbed a trash bag and began to sweep the room. The ramen cups went first. The old magazines. The broken kunai. The prank supplies, paint bombs, wire traps, itching powder. He hesitated over them for a moment, then swept them into the bag too. He didn't need them anymore. A prankster begs for attention. A predator does not need to be seen. He spent hours cleaning. He scrubbed the floors until his knees ached. He washed the dishes until they squeaked. He folded his clothes, mostly the hideous orange jumpsuits, and stacked them neatly. He looked at the orange fabric. It was loud. It was a target. A ninja wears the night, the textbooks said. Naruto wears the sun, he used to say. He couldn't afford new clothes. Not yet. The stipend the Hokage gave him was barely enough for food. He would have to make do. But he took a pair of scissors and carefully cut off the blue patches on the shoulders and the spiral on the back. It was still orange, but it looked less like a costume and more like a hazard warning. When the apartment was finally clean, stripped of its chaotic personality, it felt larger and colder. Naruto sat on his bed. The sun had set. The room was bathed in shadows. Okay, he whispered. Time to pay the rent. He had done it by accident in the forest. Mizuki's words, the shock, the rage, it had pulled him down. But now, he needed to go there on purpose. He needed to understand the thing that lived in his gut. He sat in a lotus position. He closed his eyes. He focused on his breathing. Look for the chakra, he told himself. Look for the red. Usually, when he meditated, he felt his own blue chakra. It was jumpy and energetic. But beneath it, deep down, there was a heavy, bubbling undercurrent. He pushed his consciousness toward it. It felt like diving into a pool of heavy oil. The sensation of falling took him. The mindscape. Drip, drip, drip. Naruto opened his eyes. The water was up to his ankles. The sewer was dimly lit by an unknown source, the walls slick with moss and grime. The air was hot and humid, smelling of sulfur and ancient rage. He didn't shudder. He stood up and adjusted his jacket. He knew the way. The killing intent was a beacon, pulsing like a second heartbeat. Naruto walked down the corridor. He didn't run. He walked with a measured, steady pace. The sound of his sandals splashing in the water echoed in the vast emptiness. He turned a corner and saw it. The massive golden gate, rising into the darkness. The piece of paper with the seal, Fuin, stuck to the lock, and behind the bars, the shadow. You returned, the voice rumbled. Two massive red eyes opened. Then a mouth, filled with teeth the size of swords, curled into a jagged grin. I expected you to run, the Nine-Tails sneered. Its voice was a physical force, vibrating Naruto's ribs. Humans usually try to forget I exist until they need me. Naruto stopped 10 feet from the bars. He looked up at the mountain of fur and muscle. I can't forget you, Naruto said calmly. You're the reason my life is hell. The fox let out a low chuckle. And whose fault is that? Mine? Or the humans who put me here? Both, Naruto said. The fox paused. It leaned closer, pressing its snout against the bars. Bold. You speak to a calamity as if I am a neighbor. Do you not fear death, boy? I fear being weak, Naruto replied. I fear being a victim. He took a step closer. The water rippled. We need to talk, Naruto said. Talk? The fox laughed, a barking sound that shook dust from the ceiling. You think we are friends? You think because you tapped into my power once you are my master? You are nothing but a jailer, a meat shield. And you are a prisoner, Naruto shot back. A prisoner who will die if I die. The fox narrowed its eyes. I would reform. Eventually. Years, Naruto said. Maybe decades. Can you imagine drifting as bodiless chakra for that long? And when you reform, the hidden cloud or the rock will just seal you again. Maybe in a pot. Maybe in a statue. At least here you have eyes. The fox hissed. Watch your tongue, brat. I'm offering a contract, Naruto said, ignoring the threat. A contract? The fox looked amused. You have nothing I want. I want freedom. Can you give me that? No. That seal was made by Minato Namikaze. You cannot break it. I can't give you freedom, Naruto admitted. Not yet. But I can give you entertainment. The fox tilted its massive head. Explain. The village hates you, Naruto said. They hate me because of you. They looked at me and saw a monster. So I decided, if they want a monster, I'll be the best one they've ever seen. Naruto's eyes flashed red for a second, mirroring the beast's. I want to be strong. Strong enough that no one can ever look down on me again. Strong enough that the Hokage, the Umbu, the villagers, they all have to respect me, or fear me. I don't care which. He pointed at the fox. You hate them too. You want to see them bleed. You want to see their precious will of fire stomped out. I do, the fox purred. Then help me, Naruto said. Lend me your chakra. Not when I'm angry. Not when I'm losing. But when I ask for it. Let me wield it. I will rise to the top of this ninja world. I will become the Hokage, or something greater. And I will make them bow to us. The fox was silent for a long time. The malice in the air thickened. It tested Naruto, pressing down on his mind, trying to crush his will. But Naruto stood firm. He had lived in isolation for 12 years. His mind was a fortress of stubbornness. You are asking to dance with the devil, Naruto Uzumaki, the fox said softly. My chakra is poison to your kind. It corrupts. It burns. The more you use, the more the seal weakens. One day, I might just take your body. I'll take the risk, Naruto said. If I'm too weak to hold you back, then I deserve to be taken. The fox grinned. It was a terrifying sight. Interesting. You are not like the others. Kushina was loud. Mito was arrogant. You are empty. And you want to fill that emptiness with power. The fox extended a claw. It passed through the bars, hovering inches from Naruto's face. Very well. I accept your terms. Not because I like you, but because watching you tear down their hypocritical peace sounds amusing. What do I call you? Naruto asked. Ninetales is a description, not a name. The fox hesitated. Kurama, Naruto tested the name. Okay, Kurama. I'm Naruto. I know who you are, brat. Now get out. You have training to do. If you are going to wield my power, you need to stop being so pathetic. Naruto nodded. Deal. The world dissolved into white. Naruto woke up on his bed. He was sweating. His stomach burned where the seal was, a hot, throbbing sensation. But it wasn't painful. It felt like a furnace had been lit. He looked at his hand. He channeled chakra. Usually it was blue. But now, if he concentrated, he could see faint streaks of red running through it, like veins of blood and water. Tools, he whispered. I need better tools. He looked at the calendar on his wall. 3 days until team assignments. 3 days to stop being the class clown and start being a shinobi. The next day, Konoha was a village of habits. People woke up, opened their shops, and gossiped. The gossip of the day was the attack in the woods. Rumors were flying. Mizuki was a traitor. Iruka was hurt. The demon brat was involved. Naruto walked down the main street. It was noon. The sun was high and bright. He wore his modified jumpsuit. The sleeves were rolled up. His headband was secure. His hands were in his pockets. There he is, a woman whispered as he passed the vegetable stall. I heard he went crazy in the forest. Don't look at him, her companion hissed. Usually, Naruto would have stopped. He would have yelled, hey! I can hear you! I'm going to be Hokage, believe it! Today, Naruto didn't break stride. He didn't turn his head. He kept his eyes forward, his expression neutral. He walked with a silence that unnerved them. The lack of noise was louder than any shout. He felt their gazes. He felt their fear. It tasted sweet. Let them look, he thought. They aren't looking at a nuisance anymore. They're looking at a threat. He reached Ichiraku Ramen. It was his sanctuary. The one place that hadn't rejected him. He slid back the curtains and sat on the stool. Welcome! Tucci called out from the back, his voice booming. Oh, Naruto! I heard you passed. Congratulations, my boy. I am. Tucci's daughter leaned over the counter, smiling. We're so proud of you, Naruto. We knew you could do it. Naruto looked at them. Their smiles were genuine. They were the only warmth in this village. Thanks, old man. Thanks, I am Nei, Naruto said. His voice was quiet. Tucci paused, a ladle of broth in his hand. He looked at Naruto. He saw the change immediately. The boy wasn't bouncing on the stool. He wasn't banging his chopsticks on the counter. The usual? Tucci asked gently. Yes, please. Naruto waited. He didn't talk about his exam. He didn't brag. He just sat, staring at the wood grain of the counter. When the bowl arrived, steam rising from the rich broth, Naruto broke his chopsticks. Itadakimasu. He ate quickly and efficiently. He savored the taste. It was the taste of survival. But he didn't make a show of it. Naruto, Tucci said as Naruto placed the empty bowl on the counter. Is everything okay? You seem different. Naruto placed his payment on the counter. He looked up at the old man. I just grew up a little, Tucci-san, Naruto said. That's all. He stood up. The ramen was great. Thank you. He walked out. Tucci and Ayam watched him go. Dad, Ayam whispered. He didn't ask for a second bowl. Tucci frowned, wiping his hands on his apron. No. No, he didn't. The Hokage's office. Hiruzen Sarutobi smoked his pipe, the smoke curling into shapes that drifted toward the open window. Across the desk sat Danzo Shimura. The leader of Root was bandaged as always, his one visible eye sharp and calculating. You are making a mistake, Hiruzen, Danzo said, his voice like dry leaves scraping on stone. I am respecting Minato's wishes, Hiruzen replied without looking up from his paperwork. The boy nearly killed a Chunin, Danzo pressed. My reports say the forest clearing looked like a war zone. The killing intent he released was enough to put Seasonumbu on edge. He tapped into the beast, Hiruzen. And he controlled it. He defended his teacher, Hiruzen corrected. It was an act of loyalty. It was an act of violence, Danzo countered. Effective violence. The boy has awakened. The mask of the fool has cracked. He realizes his position now. If we leave him to his own devices, he will become resentful. He will become a danger. Danzo leaned forward. Give him to me. En route, I can teach him to harness that hatred. I can make him a weapon that will ensure Konoha's dominance for a generation. Hiruzen slammed his hand on the desk. He is not a weapon, Danzo. He is a child of this village. He is a Jinchuriki. Danzo snapped. He is a nuclear deterrent in the shape of a boy. And now that he knows what he is, do you think he will play nice? Do you think he will continue to paint faces on the monument? Hiruzen exhaled smoke slowly. I have assigned him to Team 7. Danzo paused. Kakashi Hatake? Yes. Kakashi possesses the Sharingan. If the fox's chakra leaks, he can suppress it. And Kakashi knows the darkness better than most. He can guide the boy. Danzo stood up, his cane tapping rhythmically on the floor. Kakashi is soft. He is haunted by ghosts. This boy doesn't need a ghost, Hiruzen. He needs a master. Danzo walked to the door. You will regret this. When the boy turns on us, remember that I offered a leash. The door clicked shut. Hiruzen swiveled his chair to look out at the village. He looked at the Hokage monument. He looked at Minato's stone face. I hope I'm right, Minato, Hiruzen whispered. But I fear we may have already lost him. The training ground. Naruto was alone in training ground 14. It was a secluded area, overgrown and rarely used. He held a leaf in his hand. Chakra control, the scroll had said. The key to efficiency. He placed the leaf on his forehead and focused. Pop. The leaf disintegrated. Too much, Naruto muttered. He tried again. Pop. The leaf flew off, shredded. Damn it. You are doing it wrong, Kurama's voice echoed in his head. Naruto didn't break concentration. So tell me how to do it right. Your chakra coils are massive, Kurama explained, sounding bored. And my chakra is mixing with yours, making it dense. You are trying to use a fire hose to fill a teacup. So I need to turn down the pressure? No, Kurama sneered. You cannot turn down a tsunami. You need a bigger teacup. Or, you stop trying to be gentle. Naruto opened his eyes. He looked at the tree in front of him. Stop being gentle, he repeated. In the academy, they taught that the leaf exercise was about delicacy. Maintaining a thin film of chakra. But Naruto wasn't delicate. He grabbed a handful of leaves. He stuck them all to his arm. Instead of trying to hold them with a whisper of energy, he flexed his chakra coils, flooding his arm with a dense, heavy coating. The leaves didn't just stick. They were vacuum sealed to his skin. The bark of the tree behind him cracked from the pressure radiating off his body. Brute force control, Naruto realized. If I can't trickle it, I flood it, but I hold the flood in a shape. He walked to the tree. He placed his foot on the trunk. Usually he slipped. He fell. He pushed chakra to his foot. Not a little. A lot. He imagined his chakra as claws digging into the wood. Crunch. His foot smashed into the bark, sinking an inch deep. The wood splintered. But his foot held. He took another step. Crunch. He walked up the tree, leaving footprints of destroyed bark. It wasn't elegant. Umbu moved without leaving a trace. Naruto was climbing by crushing the tree into submission. He reached the branch and hung upside down. The blood rushed to his head. It works, Naruto grinned. It wasn't the correct way. But it was his way. He spent the next 2 days there. He didn't practice ninjutsu. He didn't practice shuriken. He practiced moving. He ran through the trees, pushing more and more chakra into his legs. He became faster. Much faster. The excess chakra that usually wasted away was now being used to propel him with explosive force. He was a cannonball ricocheting through the forest. He sparred with his shadow clones. But now, the clones were durable. Because he was pouring more power into them, they didn't pop from a single hit. They could take a punch. They could fight back. He beat himself black and blue. He fought until he couldn't stand, then dragged himself to the river to drink, then fought again. Kurama watched from the cage, silent and observant. The boy was relentless. He didn't complain. He didn't cry. He just worked. Perhaps, the fox thought, this one will actually be entertaining. The academy, the morning of the team assignments arrived. Naruto walked into the classroom. The room was buzzing with nervous energy. The graduates were showing off their headbands, chatting about who they wanted to be paired with. I hope I get Sasuke-kun. Ino squealed. No way, Ino pig. He's mine. Sakura shouted. Naruto walked past them. He didn't make a face at Sasuke. He didn't try to flirt with Sakura. He walked to a seat in the back corner, near the window, and sat down. He crossed his arms and closed his eyes. The room quieted down slightly. People noticed. Is that Naruto? Kiba whispered to Shikamaru. Why is he so quiet? Troublesome, Shikamaru muttered, observing Naruto through narrowed eyes. He looks intense. Shino Aburame adjusted his glasses. His chakra, it feels agitated. Yet contained. Sasuke Uchiha sat in his usual spot, chin resting on his hands. He glanced at Naruto. Usually, the blonde was an eyesore. Loud, orange, annoying. He was an obstacle to Sasuke's concentration. But today, Sasuke studied Naruto's posture. It was relaxed, yet the muscles in his neck were tense. His hands were bandaged. There were fresh scrapes on his cheek. He's been training, Sasuke realized. Hard. Sasuke felt a twinge of irritation. The deadlast was taking this seriously? Good. Maybe he wouldn't be such a burden. Sakura Haruno approached Naruto's desk. She looked confused. Usually, by now, Naruto would have asked her out 3 times and insulted Sasuke twice. Naruto? She asked. Naruto opened one eye. It was a cold, piercing blue. What do you want, Sakura? Sakura blinked, taken aback. He didn't call her Sakura-chan. His voice wasn't high-pitched. You're sitting in the seat I wanted, she stammered, falling back on her usual complaint, though her heart wasn't in it. Naruto looked at the empty seat next to him. Then he looked at the empty seat next to Sasuke. There are plenty of seats, Naruto said, closing his eye again. Go sit somewhere else. Sakura's mouth fell open. The class went silent. Naruto just rejected Sakura? Did he just? Choji paused midship. Iruka walked in then, holding a clipboard. He looked pale, still recovering from his injuries, but he smiled when he saw the class. His eyes lingered on Naruto in the back. Naruto gave him a singular, respectful nod. Iruka nodded back. Congratulations, everyone, Iruka said. From today on, you are all ninja. You have worked hard to get here. But the real journey starts now. He began reading the names. Team 7, Iruka announced. Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto didn't react. Sakura Haruno. Sakura cheered. Yes. Then she slumped. I'm with Naruto? And Sasuke Uchiha? Sakura shrieked with joy. Sasuke groaned. Naruto didn't move. He just opened his eyes and looked at his teammates. The fangirl and the Avenger, Naruto thought. Wonderful. The Uchiha? Kurama's voice grumbled in his head. I smelled the blood of the cursed eyes. Relax, Naruto thought. He's just a kid. For now. Your Jonin-sensei will pick you up after lunch, Iruka finished. The rooftop. Hours later, Team 7 sat in the classroom. They were the only ones left. Naruto sat on the desk, perfectly still. Sasuke sat in the corner brooding. Sakura paced back and forth. He's late, Sakura complained. Why is our sensei the only one who's late? She looked at Naruto. Naruto! Aren't you annoyed? Naruto looked at the clock. He's 3 hours late. It's disrespectful. Maybe we should pull a prank on him, Sakura suggested, trying to bait the old Naruto out. Put an eraser in the doorframe? Naruto looked at the eraser she held. If he's a jonin, Naruto said quietly, he won't fall for an eraser. If he does, he's not worth learning from. Sakura frowned. You're no fun anymore. The door slid open. A hand reached in. The eraser fell. Plop. It bounced off the silver hair of the man who walked in. Silence. Kakashi Hatake picked up the eraser. He looked at the 3 genin. His visible eye was droopy and bored. Kakashi said. How do I put this? My first impression of you guys. He looked at Sakura. Naive. He looked at Sasuke. Arrogant. He looked at Naruto. Naruto was staring right at him. No giggling. No guilt. Just analysis. Naruto was looking at his flak jacket, his pouch, his stance. Sizing him up. Is that you're a bunch of idiots? Sakura hung her head. Sasuke scowled. Naruto just stood up. Can we go? Naruto asked. You wasted our time. Let's get to the point. Kakashi raised an eyebrow. He had read the file. Naruto Uzumaki. Boisterous. Prankster. Attention seeker. This boy was none of those things. Meet me on the roof, Kakashi said, popping away in a swirl of leaves. On the roof, the wind whipped at their hair. They sat on the steps. Kakashi leaned against the railing. All right. Let's do introductions. Likes, dislikes, dreams for the future, hobbies. That sort of thing. Why don't you go first, sensei? Sakura asked. Show us how it's done. Me? Kakashi pointed at himself. I'm Kakashi Hatake. Things I like and things I hate. I don't feel like telling you that. My dreams for the future, never really thought about it. As for my hobbies, I have lots of hobbies. He only told us his name, Sakura whispered to Sasuke. All right, your turn. You first, Pinky. Sakura went through her list. Likes, Sasuke. Hobbies, stalking Sasuke. Dreams, marrying Sasuke. Kakashi sighed internally. Next. You, emo boy. Sasuke leaned forward. My name is Sasuke Uchiha. I hate a lot of things, and I don't particularly like anything. What I have is not a dream, because I will make it a reality. I'm going to restore my clan, and kill a certain someone. The air grew cold. Sakura looked worried. Okay, Kakashi said unfazed. And finally. You, Whiskers. Naruto looked up. He didn't smile. I am Naruto Uzumaki. He paused. He touched the seal on his stomach unconsciously. I like instant ramen. Because it's cheap and efficient. I dislike, Naruto continued, his voice dropping an octave, people who judge a book by its cover. And people who waste my time. He looked at the Hokage monument. My dream isn't a dream. It's a contract. A contract? Kakashi asked, intrigued. I'm going to become the Hokage, Naruto said. Not so people will love me. But so that no one can ever look down on me again. I will be the strongest shinobi in the village. I will be the one who decides what is right and what is wrong. He clenched his fist. And my hobby is survival. Silence stretched across the rooftop. Even Sasuke looked at Naruto with a strange expression. This wasn't the declaration of a dreamer. It was the declaration of a conqueror. Kakashi stared at Naruto. He saw the darkness in the boy's eyes. It was deep. It was old. It was the same look Kakashi saw in the mirror every morning. Mizuki really did a number on you, didn't he? Kakashi thought. Or maybe he just woke you up. Good, Kakashi said, clapping his hands. You're all unique. We have a good mix. Tomorrow, we start our first mission. What kind of mission? Sasuke asked. Survival training. We did that in the academy, Sakura said. This is different, Kakashi said, his eye curving into a deceptive smile. This is a test that has a 66% failure rate. Out of the 3 of you, only one, or maybe none, will pass. The rest go back to the academy, Sakura gasped. That's not fair. Ninja life isn't fair, Naruto said abruptly. Kakashi looked at him. Exactly, Kakashi said. Bring your ninja gear. Meet at the training ground at 5 a.m. Oh, and don't eat breakfast. He leaned in close. Unless you want to throw up. Kakashi vanished. Sasuke stood up immediately and walked away. Don't get in my way tomorrow. Sakura chased after him. Sasuke-kun! Wait! Naruto remained seated on the steps. He looked at his hands. The Cyclops is dangerous, Kurama warned. I know, Naruto said. He has the smell of blood on him. More than Mizuki. More than Irika. Naruto stood up and looked at the setting sun. The darkness was coming. Good, Naruto whispered. I work better in the dark. He turned and leaped off the roof, vanishing into the shadows of the village that hated him, ready to prove that he was the monster they feared, and the savior they didn't deserve. The mist that clung to Training Ground 3 was thick, damp, and unyielding. It was 5 in the morning, the hour when the world was gray and the air bit at exposed skin. Naruto Uzumaki sat on the middle of 3 wooden logs, his legs crossed, his eyes closed. He was perfectly still. To his left, Sakura Haruno was shivering, hugging her arms to her chest, yawning loudly every few minutes. To his right, Sasuke Uchiha stood with his back to a tree, eyes closed, radiating a prickly aura of impatience. He's late, Sakura whined, breaking the silence for the 10th time. He told us 5 o'clock. It's been 2 hours. Naruto didn't open his eyes. He regulated his breathing, pulling the cold air deep into his lungs and exhaling it slowly. Impatience is energy leaked, he thought. Energy is a resource. Don't waste it. His stomach rumbled quietly. He hadn't eaten. The order had been specific: skip breakfast. Naruto! Sakura snapped, turning her irritation toward the easiest target. Aren't you going to say anything? Usually you'd be screaming by now. Naruto opened one eye. The iris was a deep, oceanic blue, but devoid of the sparkle it once held. It was the flat, observant eye of a shark. Screaming won't make him appear, Sakura, Naruto said. His voice was raspy, low. It will just let every enemy within a mile know exactly where you are and how annoyed you are. Sakura blinked, taken aback. Well, there are no enemies here. It's training. There are always enemies, Naruto murmured, closing his eye again. Sasuke glanced at Naruto. The Uchiha's dark eyes narrowed. He had been watching the blonde since the academy graduation. The change was unnerving. The idiot who painted the Hokage monument was gone. In his place was something heavier. Sasuke could feel it. A subtle pressure in the air around Naruto, like the static before a lightning strike. He's hiding something, Sasuke thought, his grip tightening on his arm. Or maybe he was always hiding it. Another hour passed. The sun began to burn through the mist, turning the gray world into a humid golden haze. At 10 a.m. exactly, a swirl of leaves materialized in front of the memorial stone. Kakashi Hatake appeared, reading a small orange book, looking as relaxed as if he were on a Sunday stroll. Yo, Kakashi said, raising a hand. You're late. Sakura screamed, pointing an accusing finger. Kakashi didn't flinch. He turned a page. Well, you see, a black cat crossed my path, so I had to take the long way around. Liar! Kakashi snapped the book shut and stuffed it into his pouch. His single visible eye crinkled into a smile, but his gaze swept over the 3 genin with surgical precision. He saw Sakura's exhaustion, Sasuke's irritation, and Naruto's nothingness. Naruto hadn't moved from the log. He was watching Kakashi's hands, watching his weight distribution, watching the pulse point in his neck. He's relaxed, Naruto analyzed. But his center of gravity is perfect. No openings. Okay, Kakashi said, walking to a nearby stump and placing a clock on it. He set the alarm for noon. Here's the deal. I have set the alarm for 12 p.m. He reached into his pocket and pulled out 2 silver bells. They chimed softly, a cheerful sound that seemed out of place in the tense clearing. Your assignment is very simple, Kakashi said, dangling the bells by their red strings. You have to take these bells from me. That's it, but Sensei, Sakura said, frowning. There are only 2 bells. And there are 3 of us. Kakashi's eye curved into a crescent. Observant. Since there are only 2, one of you will definitely fail. The one who fails will get no lunch. He gestured to the 3 bento boxes sitting on the log behind him. And Kakashi added, his voice dropping a tone, the one who fails will be tied to the post and forced to watch me eat right in front of them. Stomachs grumbled in unison. The psychological trap was set. But that's not all, Kakashi continued. The person who doesn't get a bell fails the mission. And will be sent back to the academy. The air grew heavy. Sasuke's demeanor shifted from annoyed to deadly serious. Sakura looked terrified. Naruto just stared at the bells. 2 bells. 3 people. Conflict is inevitable. It's not a test of skill, it's a test of scarcity. You can use your shuriken, Kakashi said nonchalantly. You won't be able to get them unless you come at me with the intent to kill. But that's dangerous, sensei. Sakura cried. Yeah, you couldn't even dodge a chalk eraser, Naruto said. It wasn't a taunt. It was a probe. He wanted to see how Kakashi reacted to the memory of his weakness. Kakashi chuckled. Class clowns are usually the weakest links. You can safely ignore the guy with the lowest score. Naruto didn't react to the insult. He slowly stood up from the log. He didn't rush. He reached into his pouch and pulled out a kunai. He held it in a reverse grip. The atmosphere in the clearing changed instantly. It wasn't a massive explosion of power. It was a drop in temperature. A sudden, visceral feeling of danger. It radiated from Naruto. It was the smell of old blood and iron. Kakashi stopped smiling. His eye narrowed slightly. That killing intent, it's not normal. It's dense. Sasuke took a step away from Naruto, his instincts screaming that the predator was right next to him. Start, Kakashi said. Whoosh. Sasuke and Sakura vanished instantly, leaping into the bushes to hide. That was the first rule of ninja tactics. Conceal your presence. Naruto didn't move. He stood in the center of the clearing, facing Kakashi. Kakashi sighed, pulling his book back out. You know, usually people hide. Hiding is for those who need an advantage, Naruto said flatly. I need data. Data? Kakashi raised an eyebrow, keeping the book open. And how do you plan to get that? By force. Naruto crossed his fingers. Shadow clone jutsu. Poof. Smoke exploded, filling the clearing. But unlike the academy exams, this wasn't a puff of white. It was a thick, gray cloud fueled by excessive chakra. From the smoke, 20 Narutos burst forth. They didn't yell. They didn't scream a battle cry. They moved in eerie silence. Kakashi didn't look up from his book. A frontal assault? Predictable. The first clone reached Kakashi and threw a punch. Kakashi caught it effortlessly with one hand, his eyes still on the page. Too slow, Kakashi mumbled, but the clone didn't pull back. Instead, it lunged forward, wrapping its arms around Kakashi's wrist, locking its fingers together. Kakashi blinked. What? 2 more clones dove in. They didn't strike at vital points. One grabbed Kakashi's ankle. The other launched itself at his waist. They aren't trying to hit me, Kakashi realized. They're trying to weigh me down. Dog pile. One clone whispered. Kakashi spun, using his superior strength to throw the clinging clones off, but 5 more were already in the air. They were acting like ants swarming a beetle. They didn't care if they were destroyed. They were ammunition. Kakashi snapped the book shut. He ducked under a high kick that shattered the log behind him. Splinters flew. That strength. Kakashi noted, dodging another blow that cracked the earth. He's enhancing his muscles with chakra. It's crude, wasteful, but effective. Fire style. Fireball jutsu. From the treeline, Sasuke seized the chaos. A ball of fire roared toward the cluster of Narutos and Kakashi. Kakashi's eye widened. He doesn't care if he hits his teammate? The clones didn't dodge. They jumped into the fire. Poof. 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 Smoke and steam exploded outward, creating a smoke screen. Kakashi leaped backward, landing in the middle of the river to gain distance. Not bad. Using the clones as shields and the fire as a screen. But as the smoke cleared, the original Naruto was nowhere to be seen. Kakashi scanned the perimeter. Where did he go? The bush's north sector. Sakura was trembling. She had seen the fireball. She had heard the sounds of the clones being destroyed. It sounded like war. I need to find Sasuke-kun, she whispered. We need to work together. A hand clamped over her mouth. She tried to scream, but a voice hissed in her ear. Quiet. It was Naruto. He was crouching behind her, his blue eyes scanning the clearing below. Naruto! She whispered frantically when he released her. What are you doing? You almost got killed out there. I was testing his reaction time, Naruto said coldly. He favors his right side. He protects the pouch with the bells more than his body. Okay, but we need to find Sasuke and… No, Naruto interrupted. Sasuke is already engaging him. Listen to me, Sakura. You want to pass, right? Why yes. Then you need to be useful. Naruto pointed toward a cluster of trees near the riverbank. Kakashi is going to circle back that way. I need you to stand there. Stand there? I'll be exposed. Exactly, Naruto said. You're the bait. Sakura looked at him, horrified. What? No. I'm not going to be bait. Naruto turned to her. His face was inches from hers. The shadows of the leaves cast bars across his face, making him look like he was behind a cage. Do you want Sasuke to fail? Naruto asked softly. If we don't get those bells, Sasuke goes back to the academy. He'll hate you for it. He'll think you were weak. Sakura paled. I don't. Go to the riverbank, Naruto commanded. When Kakashi sees you, scream. Scream as loud as you can. Make him look at you. But what will you do? I'll get the bells. Sakura hesitated, then nodded. The fear of Sasuke failing, and the fear of the look in Naruto's eyes, moved her legs. She crept away. Naruto watched her go. Asset positioned, he thought. Now for the Uchiha, the riverbank. Sasuke was panting. He had engaged Kakashi in taijutsu. He had touched one of the bells. Just the tip of his finger. But the Jonin was on another level. Every move Sasuke made was anticipated. Kakashi stood on the water, looking bored again. You're different from the others, Kakashi admitted. The Uchiha clan isn't just talk. I'm going to kill him, Sasuke muttered, gripping a kunai. I can't stop here, Sasuke. Sasuke spun around. Naruto was hanging upside down from a branch. Get lost, loser, Sasuke spat. You're in my way. You can't beat him alone, Naruto said. He dropped from the branch, landing silently. I don't need your help. I didn't offer help, Naruto said. I offered a strategy. Sasuke paused. He looked at Naruto's bruised knuckles. The blonde had fought Kakashi head-on and survived. Talk fast. He's playing with us, Naruto said. He reads that book because he relies on his peripheral vision and hearing. We need to overload his senses. Naruto pointed down the river. Sakura is in position. She's going to create a diversion. When she does, Kakashi will look. For a split second, his guard will drop. And then I strike? Sasuke asked. No, Naruto said. Then we strike. You go high with the shuriken jutsu. Wire traps. Pin him down. I'll go low and take the bells. Why do you get the bells? Sasuke narrowed his eyes. Because I'm faster than you, Naruto said simply. And because if you go close, he'll grab you. You're the range specialist. I'm the brawler. It was a logical argument. Sasuke hated it. Fine, Sasuke grunted. But if you mess this up, I won't. The climax. Kakashi stepped off the water onto the grassy bank. He closed his book. The kids were quiet. Too quiet. They're plotting, he thought. Good. Maybe there's hope for them yet. Suddenly, a shriek tore through the air. No! Stay away! Kakashi's head snapped to the right. He saw Sakura standing in the open, screaming at nothing? No, she was screaming at a genjutsu? Did she trigger a trap? Kakashi wondered. His instinct as a protector flared for a microsecond. He looked toward her. Now, Demon Wind Shuriken, Shadow Windmill. Sasuke launched a massive shuriken from the trees. It spun with a roar. Kakashi didn't look back. He caught the shuriken by the center ring without looking. Predictable. But in the shadow of the first shuriken, a second one was hiding. Shadow Shuriken Jutsu. Kakashi's eye widened. Clever. He jumped vertical, avoiding the second blade. The second shuriken flew past him, but suddenly stopped. Wires. Sasuke pulled the strings in his teeth. The wires wrapped around the tree trunk Kakashi was passing, snapping tight. They were aiming to bind him in midair. Kakashi twisted his body, barely avoiding the snare. Not bad, Sasuke. But, the ground beneath Kakashi exploded. It wasn't a technique. It was Naruto. He had buried himself. Not with a jutsu, but by digging with his bare hands to avoid chakra detection. Naruto shot up like a missile, his hand reaching for the bells at Kakashi's waist. Kakashi was in midair. His evasion options were limited. He used Sakura as a distraction. He used Sasuke to force me into the air. And he buried himself to mask his scent. Kakashi's hand moved to intercept Naruto's. But Naruto didn't reach for the bells with his hand. His eyes flashed red. Roar! A blast of pure, concentrated killing intent slammed into Kakashi. It wasn't a physical blow, but a psychic scream. For a fraction of a second, Kakashi saw the Ninetales snapping its jaws. Kakashi froze. Just for an instant. The instinctual freeze of a prey animal seeing a predator. Naruto's fingers brushed the bells. Gotcha! Poof! Naruto's hand closed around a log. He landed on the ground, holding a piece of wood. Replacement jutsu. Naruto skidded to a halt. He looked around wildly. Behind you. Naruto spun, but it was too late. Kakashi's fingers formed the seal of the tiger. Hidden leaf secret finger jutsu. 1,000 years of death. Kakashi shoved his fingers. Well, Naruto managed to twist at the last second. The blow hit his hip bone instead of his intended target. Naruto flew 10 feet, crashing into the river. The alarm clock rang. Rearing! Silence fell over the training ground. Sasuke dropped from the trees, panting. Sakura emerged from the bushes, looking confused and teary-eyed. Naruto dragged himself out of the river, soaking wet, his expression dark. Kakashi stood by the memorial stone, the bell still chiming softly at his hip. Oh well, Kakashi said cheerfully. Time's up. The verdict. The 3 genin were tied to the wooden logs. Well, Naruto was tied. Sasuke and Sakura were sitting on the ground, slumped in defeat. Kakashi picked up a bento box. He opened it. The smell of rice and grilled fish wafted through the air. Naruto's stomach roared. The hunger was a sharp pain. The fox inside him was agitated, demanding fuel. You guys. Kakashi began, taking a bite of rice. You make me sick. Sakura flinched. Sasuke glared at the ground. Naruto stared at Kakashi. You ignore my instructions, Kakashi said. Sakura, you were so obsessed with Sasuke you didn't even try to find out where he was until Naruto told you. You stood in the open screaming at nothing. I was the diversion. Sakura defended weakly. You were a target, Kakashi corrected. Sasuke, you assumed the others were beneath you. You acted alone until Naruto forced a plan on you. He looked at Naruto. And you? Kakashi put the chopsticks down. His eye lost its curve. It became hard flint. You are the most dangerous one here. Naruto didn't blink. You treated your teammates like tools, Kakashi said, his voice dropping. You sent Sakura out to be bait. You knew if I attacked her, she couldn't defend herself. You risked her life to create an opening. She didn't die, Naruto said. That's not the point. Kakashi snapped. And Sasuke. You used his attack as a screen. You didn't coordinate to help him. You coordinated to use him. We almost got the bells, Naruto countered. I touched them. Almost isn't good enough in the field, Kakashi said. If this were a real mission, Sakura would be dead. Sasuke would be dead. And you would be holding a log. Kakashi walked up to Naruto, leaning in close. In the ninja world, those who break the rules are scum. That's true. He looked at Sasuke and Sakura. But those who abandon their friends are worse than scum. The words hung in the air. The lesson of the test. Naruto looked at Kakashi. He looked at the inscription on the memorial stone. Friends? Naruto asked. The word tasted like ash in his mouth. Yes. Friends. Comrades. Naruto laughed. It was a dry, hacking sound. That's a nice story, sensei. Naruto pulled against the ropes. They creaked. But look at us. The Uchiha hates me. Sakura wishes I didn't exist. And the village. He trailed off. We aren't friends. We are a squad. A squad has a mission, and you think completing the mission is worth sacrificing them? Kakashi asked softly. If the mission is vital? If the mission saves the village? Naruto's eyes bore into Kakashi's. Yes. A shinobi is a tool of the village. If the tool breaks doing its job, it was a good tool. Kakashi stared at him. This wasn't just arrogance. This was Danzo's philosophy. This was the darkness of the root, coming from the mouth of a 12-year-old. He believes it, Kakashi realized with horror. He truly believes his own life, and theirs, is currency to be spent. You're wrong, Kakashi said. Am I? Naruto asked. Iruka-sensei saved me. He acted like a friend. And he got a shuriken in the spine. If he had treated me like a mission objective, neutralize the enemy first, secure the assets second, he wouldn't have been hurt. Kakashi stepped back. He saw the trauma now. It wasn't just the fox. It was the guilt. Naruto had internalized Iruka's sacrifice as a failure of tactical logic. Kakashi picked up the 2 remaining bento boxes. You guys are hungry, right? Yes, sensei, Sakura whispered. Here. Kakashi handed a box to Sasuke and a box to Sakura. Eat. But don't give any to Naruto. It's his punishment for leading the team down a dark path. If you feed him, you fail immediately. Kakashi turned around. I have to go do something. I'll be back in 5 minutes. He vanished. The test of loyalty. Sasuke and Sakura opened their boxes. The smell was intoxicating. Naruto watched them. His stomach cramped. It doesn't matter, Naruto told himself. I can go weeks without food. I've done it before. He looked away, staring into the forest. Sasuke took a bite of rice. He chewed slowly. He looked at Naruto. He saw the blonde's jaw clenched tight. Sasuke remembered the fight. Naruto had set him up. But Naruto had also been the one to create the opening. Without Naruto, Sasuke wouldn't have even touched the bells. And Naruto was right. He was faster. Sasuke sighed. He stood up and walked over to Naruto. Here. He shoved his chopsticks, full of rice, toward Naruto's face. Naruto pulled his head back. What are you doing? He said, if you feed me, you fail. He's gone, Sasuke said. And I can't have you fainting on the next mission. You're useful. Barely. I don't need your charity, Naruto spat. It's not charity. It's maintenance, Sasuke countered. Take it, loser. Sakura watched them. She looked at her own food. She looked at Naruto, who looked like a cornered animal refusing help. She stood up and walked over too. Just eat it, Naruto, she said, holding out her box. My diet starts tomorrow anyway. Naruto looked at them. He looked at the food. Why? He asked. I used you. I put you in danger. Yeah, you were a jerk, Sakura said. But we're a team, right? Isn't that what Kakashi-sensei said? We aren't friends, Naruto repeated his earlier claim. Shut up and eat. Sasuke jammed the rice into Naruto's mouth. Naruto chewed. It tasted warm. Suddenly, a cloud of smoke exploded behind them. You! Kakashi appeared, looming over them like a storm god, thunder crackling in the background, a genjutsu effect. You broke the rules! Kakashi roared. I said don't feed him. Are you prepared for the consequences? Sakura shrieked and hugged her knees. Sasuke reached for his kunai. Naruto swallowed the rice. He looked Kakashi in the eye. They didn't break the rules, Naruto said calmly. Oh? Kakashi challenged. They were maintaining the squad's efficiency, Naruto said, twisting Kakashi's logic. A starving soldier is a liability. They fed me to ensure I could fight. That's not charity. That's logistics. Kakashi paused. The thunder faded. The dark clouds vanished. Kakashi's eye curved into that damn smile again. Pass. Sakura blinked. Huh, you pass, Kakashi said. In the ninja world, those who break the rules are scum. But those who abandon their comrades are worse than scum. He looked at Naruto. You have a twisted way of viewing it, Naruto. Logistics. Maintenance. But the result is the same. You didn't let him starve. Kakashi gave a thumbs up. Team 7 starts its first mission tomorrow, Sakura cheered. Sasuke smirked. Naruto didn't smile. Sensei, Naruto said. You passed us, Naruto said slowly. But mark my words. One day, that philosophy is going to get one of us killed. Kakashi's smile faltered slightly. He looked at the boy. No, the young man, tied to the post. Maybe, Kakashi admitted softly. But until that day, I'll teach you to protect them anyway. He cut the ropes. Naruto landed on his feet. He rubbed his wrists. We'll see, Naruto said. He walked away from the team, heading into the woods without a backward glance. Kakashi watched him go. Minato-sensei, Kakashi thought, looking at the gray sky. You left me a difficult homework assignment. All right, dismiss. Kakashi said to the remaining two. Sasuke looked at Naruto's retreating back. He sensed the trap, Sasuke realized. He knew feeding him was the answer. Or did he? Sasuke felt a chill. Naruto hadn't accepted the food because of friendship. He had accepted it because Sasuke called it maintenance. He really thinks he's a weapon, Sasuke thought. And he thinks we are too. For the first time in his life, Sasuke Uchiha felt a twinge of fear towards someone who wasn't his brother. The sewer. That night, Naruto meditated. You passed, Kurama grumbled. I passed, Naruto agreed. That silver-haired man, he is soft. He is, Naruto said. He talks about comrades and friends. He lives in a fantasy. Naruto channeled chakra. The red light filled the corridor. But he is strong. I couldn't get the bells. You held back, Kurama said. If you had let me out. If I let you out, I'd die, Naruto said. I need to get the bells with my power. And yours, as a tool. Naruto clenched his fist in the real world. Team 7 is just a stepping stone, Kurama. I will learn from Kakashi. I will study the Uchiha. And I will use them to sharpen my claws. Good, the fox purred, laying its head on its paws. That is the way of a predator. Naruto opened his eyes. The moon was high. Mission start, he whispered. The mission office was a cage of mundane bureaucracy. Scrolls were stacked high, the air smelled of stale tea and ink, and the third Hokage sat behind his desk, looking every bit the tired grandfather of a dysfunctional family. Team 7 stood before him. Or rather, they existed in the same space. Sasuke Uchiha stood with his hands in his pockets, radiating a silent demand for something worthy of his time. Sakura Haruno fidgeted, glancing between her teammates, desperate for a sense of cohesion that wasn't there. And Naruto Uzumaki stood at attention. His posture was rigid, his modified orange jacket zipped to the chin, his blue eyes staring at a spot on the wall behind the Hokage. He held a struggling cat in his arms, Tora, the terror of the Fire Daimyo's wife. Most genin chased Tora for hours. Naruto had simply cornered the beast, released a pulse of killing intent so concentrated the cat had frozen in terror, and bagged it. It hadn't been a chase, it had been a seizure. Mission complete, Naruto said, his voice devoid of the usual accomplishment. He placed the cat on the desk. It didn't move. It was still shaking. Oh, my poor Tora! The daimyo's wife burst into the room, snatching the cat and crushing it against her chest. Tora hissed, not at her, but at Naruto. Hiruzen Sarutobi sighed, puffing on his pipe. He looked at the list of available missions. Well done, Team 7. For your next assignment, we have babysitting the elder counselor's grandson, digging potatoes in the western field, or... No, Naruto interrupted. Sakura gasped. Naruto! You can't interrupt the Hokage. Kakashi, standing behind them with his nose in his book, merely raised an eyebrow. Lord Hokage, Naruto continued, ignoring Sakura. We are ninja. We are tools of the village. Digging potatoes is a waste of resources. Our skills are degrading with every hour spent on civilian labor. Hiruzen looked at Naruto. He saw the cold calculation in the boy's eyes. It wasn't the whining of a child who wanted glory. It was the assessment of a soldier who felt his blade dulling. I agree, Sasuke added, stepping forward. These missions are pointless. Hiruzen closed his eyes. Danzo would be smiling right now, he thought bitterly. Very well, Hiruzen said. I have a C-rank mission. You will be bodyguards for a master bridge builder on his way back to the land of waves. Bodyguard duty, Naruto repeated. Acceptable. Send him in, Hiruzen ordered. The door slid open, and Tazuna entered. He smelled of cheap sake and salt water. He took a swig from a bottle, wiping his mouth with a calloused hand. He looked over the three children with bleary, judgmental eyes. This is it? Tazuna slurred. A bunch of brats? Especially the short one with the stupid look on his face. Are you really ninja? Naruto didn't yell. He didn't jump on the desk. He slowly turned his head to look at Tazuna. The contract states protection, Naruto said softly. It does not state we have to be liked. If you want conversation, hire a geisha. If you want to live, shut up and walk. Tazuna choked on his sake. The room went deadly silent. Even Sasuke looked at Naruto with a mixture of surprise and begrudging respect. Kakashi stepped forward, placing a hand on Naruto's shoulder. Now. Let's be nice to the client. We meet at the gate in 1 hour. The road away from Konoha was well traveled, a dirt path cutting through the lush forests of the Land of Fire. The sun was high, casting dappled shadows through the canopy. For most genin, leaving the village for the first time was an adventure. Sakura was marveling at the scenery, trying to engage Sasuke in conversation. Sasuke was silent, scanning the perimeter, though his eyes kept flicking to Naruto. Naruto walked in the rear. He carried his backpack with efficient weight distribution. He wasn't looking at the trees. He was watching the ground, the wind, the shadows. 2 miles out, Naruto noted. Civilian traffic is low. Perfect ambush territory. Kakashi walked at the front, seemingly relaxed, but Naruto noticed the Jonin's pace was slower than usual. He was matching Tazuna's lumbering gait. So Sakura chirped, Mr. Tazuna, what is the land of waves like? It's wet, Tazuna grunted, clutching his bottle. He seemed nervous. He kept looking over his shoulder. Naruto narrowed his eyes. The client is sweating. It's 60 degrees. His heart rate is elevated. He's hiding something. They passed a small puddle on the road. It hadn't rained in 3 days. Sakura stepped over it, oblivious. Sasuke glanced at it, frowning, but kept walking. Kakashi walked right past it. Naruto stopped. He looked at the puddle. He saw no reflection of the sky. The water was too dark. Chakra, Naruto analyzed. Concealment. He didn't shout. A shout gives away the element of surprise. He didn't attack. An unprovoked attack on a potential hazard could be a false positive. He kept walking, but his hand drifted into his pouch, wrapping his fingers around the cold steel of a kunai. He adjusted his stride, shifting his weight onto the balls of his feet. Wait for it. As soon as Naruto passed the puddle, the water exploded. 2 figures erupted from the ground. They were draped in tattered cloaks, wearing rebreathers, connected by a long chain of razor-sharp shuriken. The demon brothers. One down! They hissed in unison. They moved with terrifying speed. The chain wrapped around Kakashi. Before the Jonin could react, or so it seemed, they yanked. Ryup. Kakashi was torn to pieces. Blood and flesh scattered across the path. Kaya! Sakura screamed, freezing in place. Kakashi-sensei! Tazuna yelled, dropping his bottle. The demon brothers didn't pause. They had eliminated the Jonin. Now, the targets were the genin and the client. They appeared behind Naruto. 2 down! The chain swung toward Naruto, a scythe meant to bisect him at the waist. Time seemed to slow. Sasuke was moving. He was in the air, a shuriken ready, preparing to pin the chain. He was fast. But Naruto was already there. Naruto didn't dodge. He didn't jump away. He stepped in. He dropped his backpack, the weight hitting the ground with a thud, and spun on his heel. He ducked under the swinging chain, the metal whistling inches above his hair. He was now inside the guard of the closest brother, Gozu. Gozu's eyes widened behind his goggles. He expected the brat to run. He didn't expect the brat to be inside his personal space. Naruto didn't use a jutsu. He used a brick-breaking palm strike, enhanced with a surge of dense, violent chakra. Break. Naruto's palm slammed into Gozu's elbow joint. Crack. The sound was like a gunshot. The bone snapped backward. Gozu screamed, a guttural sound of shock and agony. His grip on the chain faltered. Naruto didn't stop. He grabbed Gozu's broken arm, using the leverage to swing the man around like a human shield. Meizu, the second brother, was charging toward Tazuna. He saw his brother flying at him too late. Thud, the brothers collided. They tumbled into a heap of limbs and metal. Before Meizu could untangle himself, a boot slammed onto his throat. Naruto stood over them. He held a kunai in a reverse grip. He plunged it down. Shunk. He didn't aim for the neck. He aimed for the shoulder, pinning Meizu to the ground through the muscle. Stay, Naruto whispered. It was over in 4 seconds. Sasuke landed nearby, his shuriken still in hand. He stared. He had been about to throw the shuriken to trap the chain. A textbook maneuver. Naruto had dismantled them with brute force and crippling precision. Sakura was still screaming, her hands over her mouth. Tazuna was on the ground, pale as a sheet. Naruto. Sasuke breathed. You. Naruto looked up. His face was splattered with a few drops of Gozu's blood. His eyes were devoid of fear. They were annoyed. Target neutralized, Naruto said. He looked at the pile of gore that used to be Kakashi. We need to secure the perimeter before checking the Jonin. Yo! Kakashi stepped out from behind a tree. The pile of Kakashi on the road turned into splintered logs. A replacement jutsu. Kakashi looked at the scene. He looked at the demon brothers, one whimpering with a shattered arm, the other pinned to the earth, gasping for air under Naruto's boot. Kakashi felt a cold drop of sweat slide down his back. He didn't hesitate. He didn't freeze. He went straight for the cripple. Naruto, Kakashi said, his tone carefully neutral. Step away from the enemy. Naruto twisted his boot slightly before stepping back. They were Chunin level. From the hidden mist. Their equipment is standard assassination gear. Kakashi walked over and knocked the brothers unconscious with a swift chop to their necks. He tied them up. Then he turned to the team. Sakura, you froze. If Naruto and Sasuke hadn't acted, you and Tazuna would be dead. Sakura looked down, tears in her eyes. I was so scared. Sasuke, good reaction. You were ready to counter. Sasuke scowled. Ready. But not fast enough. He looked at Naruto's bloodied hands. How is he so fast? And Naruto? Kakashi paused. Effective. But excessive. Efficiency is not excessive, Naruto replied, wiping the blood from his cheek. They attacked with lethal intent. I responded in kind. Kakashi sighed. This was going to be a long mission. He turned to Tazuna. The bridge builder was trembling. He was staring at Naruto like the boy was a demon. Tazuna-san, Kakashi said, his voice hardening. These are Chunin-level assassins. They don't come for bridge builders on C-rank missions. You have some explaining to do. The interrogation was short. Tazuna spilled everything. The poverty of Wave, the tyranny of Gato, the lack of money for a B-rank mission. So, Kakashi said, crossing his arms. The mission is effectively a B-rank, possibly A-rank. We are not equipped for this. We should return to the village. No! Tazuna cried. If you leave, Gato will kill me. My daughter will cry. My grandson will cry. Guilt-tripping won't change the mission parameters, Kakashi said. He looked at his students. What do you think? We go back, Sakura said, her voice shaking. We're not ready for this. No, Sasuke said. We continue. If we run now, we'll never get stronger. Kakashi looked at Naruto. Naruto? Naruto was looking at the unconscious assassins. Gato is a shipping magnate, Naruto said. He controls the economics of an entire nation. If we complete this mission, the strategic value for Konoha is high. We gain an ally in Wave and destabilize a criminal empire. He looked at Kakashi. And I need to know if I can kill a Jonin. Kakashi's eye widened slightly. He sees this as a test run. Fine, Kakashi decided. He couldn't let Naruto go rogue in his mindset, and returning now would look like cowardice to the boy. We continue. The boat. The mist rolled in as they crossed the strait. The boatman turned off the engine, rowing silently to avoid detection. The only sound was the lap of black water against the hull. The bridge loomed out of the fog, a massive, unfinished skeleton of steel and hope. Naruto sat at the bow of the boat. He stared into the mist. He could feel it. The moisture in the air was thick with chakra. It wasn't natural fog, Naruto, Sasuke whispered. He was sitting next to him. Back there. How did you know? Know what? That they were there. You didn't even look. Naruto didn't turn his head. The puddle. It hasn't rained. Sasuke gritted his teeth. I missed it. And your speed. You moved before I did. You hesitated, Naruto said. You were thinking about the technique. I was thinking about the result. Result? Survival, Naruto said. When you accept that you might die, you move faster. Sasuke stared at him. It was the philosophy of a suicide soldier. They reached the shore. Tazuna led them through the woods toward his house. The tension was palpable. Every snapping twig made Sakura jump. Naruto walked with his kunai drawn. He felt the fox stirring in his gut. Blood comes, Kurama whispered. Strong blood. I feel it, Naruto thought. Something sharp. Duck. Naruto didn't yell it. He commanded it. He dropped to the ground instantly. Kakashi tackled Tazuna. Sasuke dragged Sakura down. A massive executioner's blade spun through the air, slicing through the space where their heads had been a second ago. It slammed into a tree trunk with a thunderous thud, sticking fast. A man landed on the hilt of the sword. He was shirtless, wearing cow print arm warmers, a fashion choice Naruto noted as impractical, and half his face was bandaged. Momochi Zabuza. The demon of the hidden mist. Kakashi stood up, revealing his Sharingan. Well, Zabuza rasped, his voice like grinding gravel. Kakashi of the Sharingan. And some brats. Zabuza's eyes scanned the group. They lingered on Naruto. That one. Zabuza muttered. He doesn't smell like a brat. He smells like a corpse. Get back, Kakashi ordered, stepping in front of his team. Manji formation. Protect Tazuna. Do not join the fight. This is on a different level. Finally, Naruto whispered, a twitch of excitement pulling at the corner of his mouth. A real test. The water prison. The battle between Kakashi and Zabuza was a blur of water and steel. It was high-level combat, a dance of deception and power that left the genin breathless. Sasuke watched with Sharingan envy. This is what I need to become. Sakura watched with terror. Naruto watched with analysis. Kakashi is faster, but Zabuza has the terrain advantage. The mist is hiding his movements. Then, the mistake happened. Kakashi, focused on the water dragon, lost track of the real Zabuza. He was kicked into the water. Fool, Zabuza laughed. Water prison jutsu. A sphere of heavy water entrapped Kakashi. The Jonin struggled, but he was immobile. Zabuza held the prison with one hand, his other hand forming a seal to maintain a water clone that had risen from the lake. Now, Zabuza said, his eyes crinkling in amusement. Kakashi is finished. And you three, playtime is over. The water clone stepped forward. It radiated killing intent that crushed the air out of Sakura's lungs. Run! Kakashi shouted from inside the bubble. Take Tazuna and run! You can't beat him. We can't run, Sasuke said, trembling. If we run, he kills you, then hunts us down. Correct, Zabuza said. The clone raised the massive sword. You die here. Sasuke looked at Naruto. Naruto, we need a plan. Teamwork. Maybe if we... Sasuke stopped. Naruto wasn't looking at Sasuke. He was looking at Zabuza. And he was smiling. It wasn't a hero's smile. It was a rictus of anticipation. Red chakra began to bubble up from Naruto's skin. The water around his feet began to hiss and boil. Teamwork? Naruto asked, his voice distorting. No. He's mine. Naruto, don't be an idiot. Sasuke yelled. That's a Jonin clone. Naruto ignored him. He dropped into a feral crouch. The whites of his eyes turned black. The blue irises bled into crimson slits. Let's play, Naruto/Kurama whispered. Boom. Naruto launched himself off the ground. The earth shattered beneath his feet. He moved so fast he was a blur of orange and red. The Zabuza clone swung the sword. A strike meant to cleave Naruto in two. Naruto didn't dodge. He caught the blade. With his bare hands. The metal bit into his palms, blood flowing freely, but the red chakra hissed and cauterized the wound instantly. Naruto stopped the executioner's blade dead in its tracks. What? The clone's eyes widened. Is that all? Naruto growled. He let go of the sword and leaped forward, slamming his head into the clone's face. Headbutt. The clone splashed into water, reforming instantly a few feet away. Tough brat, the clone spat. Naruto! Kakashi yelled. Get out of here! That chakra, don't use it! Naruto didn't hear him. The killing intent was singing in his veins. The world was red. The enemy was in front of him. The objective was simple: destruction. Shadow Clone Jutsu. 50 clones exploded into existence. They were all coated in the red shroud. They didn't form a line. They swarmed. Die! 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 The clones shrieked. They piled onto the Zabuza clone. The clone slashed, destroying 3, 5, 10. But for every one he destroyed, 2 more bit his arms, kicked his legs, clawed at his eyes. It was savage. It wasn't ninja arts. It was a mauling. The real Zabuza, holding the prison, watched with growing unease. What is this kid? That chakra, it feels like the Mizuki's beast. Sasuke! Naruto's voice cut through the chaos. The original Naruto was standing back, holding a windmill shuriken. Be useful! Naruto yelled. Sasuke snapped out of his shock. He grabbed his own shuriken. Demon Wind Shuriken, Shadow Windmill. Sasuke threw his weapon. Naruto threw his. The 2 shuriken flew toward the real Zabuza. Zabuza laughed. You think shuriken can? I'm not aiming for you, Naruto whispered. Naruto snapped his fingers. The 50 clones that were fighting the water clones suddenly disengaged. They turned and leaped toward the real Zabuza. Human bomb formation. The clones didn't attack Zabuza. They threw themselves in the path of the shuriken, and then, they popped. But they didn't just pop. Naruto pushed so much volatile chakra into them that the release of the jutsu created a shockwave. Boom! 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 A wall of compressed air and smoke slammed into Zabuza. Zabuza gritted his teeth, bracing himself. His hand holding the water prison wavered. Not enough! Zabuza roared. Suddenly, a shadow broke through the smoke. It was Naruto. The real one. He had ridden the shockwave. He was in the air, right above Zabuza's arm. He didn't have a Rasengan. He didn't have a Chidori. He had a kunai, and he had gravity, and he had hate. Let go! Naruto drove the kunai down toward Zabuza's wrist. Zabuza had a choice: lose his hand, or let go of the prison. He let go. He snatched his hand back, the kunai slicing a shallow gash along his forearm. He grabbed the hilt of his sword with his free hand and swung it backward to decapitate the brat. But the water prison exploded. Kakashi was free. Kakashi caught the sword blade with the back of his hand plate, sparks flying. He kicked Zabuza in the chest, sending the assassin skidding across the water. Naruto landed on the water, panting. The red chakra was receding, leaving him burned and exhausted. His hands were smoking. Kakashi stood in front of him. Good job, Naruto, Kakashi said, though his voice was tight with worry. But never do that again. Naruto grinned. His teeth were stained with blood from biting his lip. It worked, didn't it? The hunter, Zabuza, stood up. He was battered. His arm was bleeding. He looked at Kakashi, then at the demonic brat. You're full of surprises, Kakashi, Zabuza wheezed. But the technique is over. Now I, thwip. Thwip. 2 Saban needles flew from the trees. They struck Zabuza perfectly in the neck. Zabuza's eyes went wide. He stiffened, then collapsed like a puppet with its strings cut. Silence fell over the lake. A figure emerged from the mist. He wore a mask with the symbol of the hidden mist Hunternin. Thank you, the figure said, his voice polite and soft. I have been hunting Zabuza for a long time. Kakashi approached the body. He checked for a pulse. No pulse, Kakashi confirmed. He's dead. I must dispose of the body, the Hunternin said. It contains many secrets. He picked up Zabuza's massive body with surprising ease and vanished in a swirl of leaves. Kakashi relaxed, pulling his headband down over his Sharingan. Well, that's that. Mission accomplished, for now. Sasuke sat down on the ground, exhausted. Sakura rushed to check on Tazuna. But Naruto didn't move. He stared at the spot where Zabuza had fallen. His enhanced senses, lingered over from the Kyuubi's chakra, picked up something. No blood, Naruto thought. The needles hit the neck. There should be blood. And the sound. He replayed the sound of the needles hitting in his mind. Thwip. Not thud. They hit muscle, not bone, and the hunter Nin. He was wearing the mask, but his scent, it was the smell of herbs. Not death. He's not dead, Naruto realized. The realization hit him like a bucket of ice water. It's a fake death state. That hunter Nin is an accomplice. Naruto opened his mouth to shout. Kakashi! He's alive! It's a trap, but he stopped. He looked at Kakashi. The Jonin was swaying. He was about to collapse from chakra exhaustion. If Naruto shouted now, if they chased the enemy, Kakashi would die, and in their current state, Sasuke and Sakura were useless. Naruto was running on fumes. They would lose. Information is ammunition, Naruto thought. If I tell them now, we panic. If I keep it, we prepare. He clenched his jaw. He let the secret settle in his stomach, heavy and cold. Naruto? Sasuke asked, noticing his teammates stare. What is it? Naruto turned. The red was gone from his eyes, replaced by that dull, oceanic blue. Nothing, Naruto lied. Just wondering why a hunter Nin carries so much luggage. Kakashi took one step and fell face first into the dirt. Kakashi-sensei! Sakura shrieked. He's just exhausted, Naruto said, walking over. He didn't rush. He grabbed Kakashi's vest and hoisted the man up, struggling under the weight. Grab his legs, Sasuke. Unless you're too tired. Sasuke glared but grabbed Kakashi's legs. We need to get to Tazuna's house, Naruto said. We're not safe here. Tazuna's house. They laid Kakashi out on a futon in the guest room. Tsunami, Tazuna's daughter, brought warm water and towels. Night had fallen. The house was quiet, save for the sound of the ocean outside. Naruto sat on the porch, sharpening a kunai. The scrape of the whetstone was rhythmic, hypnotic. Sasuke walked out. He leaned against the doorframe. You used it, Sasuke said. Used what? That chakra. The red stuff. It felt evil. Naruto stopped sharpening. He looked at the moon. Power isn't evil, Sasuke. It's just power. It felt like the thing in the puddle, Sasuke pressed. Like the demon.